Hi guys, good morning, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us today, joining us for another Sunday Kids lesson. And today we're going to talk about Jericho. And we're still in the book of Joshua. Last week we talked about Rahab and the Israelites and how Rahab lived in Jericho. And this week we're going to talk about how God wanted to give a land to his people. He wanted to give a home for the Israelites. And Jericho was part of that plan. But Jericho had giant walls all around it. And they were walls that the Israelites had to face and conquer. And sometimes the things that are fearful for us, the things that are scary for us, feel giant like walls in our lives, right? And the Israelites, they faced an actual real wall. So they probably thought that they were going to go into this battle with swords and arrows and all the things that you would imagine for a battle. But that's not the plan that God had for them. God had a different plan. And even though his plan was different and it was surprising, the Israelites were able to be brave because God was with them. Joshua 1:9 tells us, "Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And that is a great reminder that we can conquer the fears that we have because God is with us. It doesn't mean that we won't be afraid. It means that we can be courageous and we can be brave no matter what our fears are. So let's talk today about Jericho. Jericho, like I said, was a great big city and it had big, thick walls all around it. And the people were supposed to conquer it. So God told them, remember, don't bring your typical weapons. I want you to bring horns and play music, and I want you to shout and walk around the city every day for a week, which seemed like a really strange battle plan, right? So the Israelites, they obeyed and they said, God, we'll do what you want us to do because you've proven yourself in the past and we know you're going to do it again. So the Israelites went and they walked around the city of Jericho with the Ark of the Covenant. And they walked around the city with the ark and their horns, and they blew their horns, and they went home and went to bed. And the next day they got up and they did it again. They walked around the city and they blew their horns and they went to bed. And they kept doing that for 6 days. So imagine for a whole week, that's all they did. They walked around the city and they blew their horns and they went to bed. And these people in Jericho thought the Israelites must be crazy, but they knew their God had a reputation. And so on the 7th day, God said, today's the day. We're going to bring these walls down. And the people didn't know how. They didn't understand it, but they obeyed. And so they walked around the city 7 times, and they blew their horns, and they shouted really loud. And guess what? God brought the walls down. God conquered the city of Jericho for the Israelites because they were courageous even when they were afraid. And God can do that for you too. So I want you to watch this short clip of this lesson I found, and it's a great example of how we can be strong and courageous even when we don't feel like that. And when things feel stressful inside of us and they make us anxious, we can still trust that God has it under control and it doesn't feel quite as scary. Check it out. All right, we're gonna try an object lesson and this is gonna show us what courage looks like for us. So in this jar over here, I have some water and you can see my jars are the same and they have the same amount of water in them, right? Now I'm gonna put some soap in each of them. And the soap is kind of like the scary things that we face in our lives. So it might be surgery, it might be the first day of school, it might be a shot at the doctor's office. Whatever you think is scary, this is the things that makes us feel different, right? It sometimes feels like a yucky feeling in your stomach. Sometimes it feels like it could be your heart feels like it's racing, you could get sweaty and you just feel nervous. So that's the scary things that are in our lives. Now, this jar over here, I'm gonna put some salt in there, and the salt represents courage. So when God is with us, we can be brave, right? Just like he told Joshua, be strong and courageous. So we're going to put some courage in this life over here. I need my top so I can cover my jars. So now we're going to shake these up, and you'll see the difference of what happens when we have courage and when we just face fears alone. All right, this is what happens when we face fears all by themselves. Woo! It overflowed on me. Look at that. Sometimes it spills over, doesn't it? And that's kind of what we feel like when we get stressed or frustrated and we're scared of something. Sometimes we might yell at people and we might do things that are not nice, and we feel sweaty and we feel nervous. And then this jar has courage, right? This is the one with the salt in it. And look what happens when we have courage. We don't overflow. We're still might be scared, and there's still lots of bubbles in here, and you might feel a little bit scared, but when God is with you, we can be brave. And that's what he did for Joshua, and that's what he can do for you. We have things that we're going to be afraid of, right? You can probably name a few right now that are things that are scary to you. Maybe someone is sick in your family. Maybe there's an event that's coming up that you're nervous about, that you're scared if it's going to happen or not happen. And maybe you're scared about a doctor's visit or something like that. There's lots of things that we can be scared of. But the cool thing is that God is with us no matter where we go. And he wants us to be strong and courageous. So I have an option for you this week for your challenge. So you can either try the experiment that I just did with the directions that are noted in the video comments, or you can draw a picture of something that is scary to you, whatever that is. Maybe it's a situation that you want to represent. Just draw a picture of something that's scary. And then underneath that, I want you to write out our verse for this week, Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be discouraged. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. All right, so choose one of those two things to do, or maybe you want to do both of them. Send me a picture. I hope you have a great time learning about Jericho this week, and I will see you soon. Bye.